Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building. We got a legendary producer, Salaam Remi. Welcome, brother.
indeed.
Welcome back.
What's up, brothers? I'm so glad to be back.
Salam is in here being ultra creative this morning.
That's right.
What is the Muse Zoom
Museum.
Museum?
Yeah,
Museum.
I just decided to put the MUSE instead of just, Muse and the Museum. Basically, He's playing around with it. But basically, I created a. I mean, first of all, I retired from producing on my 50th birthday last year.
Are you done with music? I don't believe
How
that.
could you do that?
I don't believe
I
You
could
can't.
because I needed to. You know what I'm saying? I felt like I put my 36 years in.
You just produced a masterpiece a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years ago. But at this point, you know what I'm saying? That's something I wanted to do since I was 30. You know what I'm saying? Be able to focus on life. I've given almost all my life force for my entire adult life into just being in the studio, helping artists do things on that level, performing for record companies. At some point, you got to work for you. You know what I'm saying? So my last 5 years of do it for the culture stuff was more me just doing what I felt. And then at the same time, I also wanted to see what else I could do. And the pandemic gave me enough time to just have, I can't see nobody. And I discovered other ways to channel my creativity rather than needing to just be strictly in the musical form in the way that I'd done it already. And, after I put out my last album, Black on Purpose, in 2020, I was in the crib and I was, kicking it with my homegirl, Artist Sheena. And I was like, Dad, maybe we should do some art. She's like, yeah, you should. And I was like, word? All right, cool. So that turned into me going and getting some spray cans and kind of messing around with pieces. And then it was actually Angie Martinez's birthday was coming up right after that January 9th. So I asked Rhonda, who's her favorite artist? Like, Celia Cruz. I'm like, word? So now I get a Celia Cruz picture and I'm starting to mess with it to make a gift for her. Then Nas like, hey, what you doing? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, that's crazy. So I had a Rakim picture I started messing with. He's like, nah, use this raw picture. So I just was really finding some other way to utilize my creativity because 2020 was so hard for all of us between the racial tension, the elections. I made that album Black on Purpose just as a emotion release, you know what I'm saying, for everything that was going on, all the deaths and everything else. And then I just found something else that I just literally sat down every day, was spray painting, adding pictures and creating other pieces. And it evolved to where by the next year I was like, all right, cool. You know what? I put my 10,000 hours sitting inside Dolo doing nothing but this. Now I want to find a way to utilize it to help other people. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what it came down to. I found a way with my museum to generate income for artists just by their name and likeness and not how they look now, how they look 20, 30, 40 years ago, even if they're not here, to their families.
And you got a background in art? Because this picture y'all looking at, Salam actually painted.
Yeah,
You
so
drew
actually
and painted.
it's actually a mixed media art. So what I started doing at first was I was using pictures and then actually take a spray paint piece and then doing a picture in the middle of it, which I still have to get rights from the photographer. Then what I decided to do was my creative director, Tatiana, actually drew this Slick Rick for me because I had, I wanted the rose on the eye patch and the crown leaned a certain way and everything else. So then now it's like a combination. It's a combination mixed media where I spray painted the Gucci in the background and the speakers and the audio system and everything else. But I actually put a picture of Rick into this whole piece. And it's a split between myself, her as the illustrator, me as the canvas artist, my engineer building the audio systems with me. And that's just pretty much the products that I ended up doing now. I have like speaker boxes that have different people on it. I got Kane, Rakim, Nas, Black Thought, Questlove, Celia Cruz, Bob Marley, all these different people that I've created different versions of this type of technology for. But I felt like the ball player that's coming to be like, hey, I do art now. And if I just said that to you, you're like, whatever, but I had to bring it out so I could show you.
So how does the splits work? We heard you talking behind the scenes about the split. So how does that work for somebody to buy the piece, like this huge piece right here, speakers and everything?
Yep.
How much is this piece and how does it work?
This piece is $50K. And basically how it works is that, I went to Bob Marley's family first and Marvin Gaye's family. I had working relationships with them on the musical side. And I basically said, what would you be happy with for just name and likeness if we were going to utilize something? Because I knew that they were really on top of their business game and I wanted to see what was the strong deal. And it's like, it was you, it's 30. No. Like, what do you really want? They said they would like 40%. So I was like, all right, cool. So we set up the deal, all the terms to it, and I said, okay, 40% is what they're going to get just for their name and likeness, regardless of who drew the picture, regardless of who took a photo, everything else. And I made that the standard for museum. So now 40% goes to the person for their name and likeness, which is not law. That's how we're rolling. And then the other 60% goes between either the photographer, if I'm splitting something with a photographer or somebody drawing it. I'm sure you've gone somewhere and somebody's like, hey, this is my favorite picture of you I've drawn, and they selling it. But then what do your kids get from that?
Right.
And just principle, it's like, even for myself, I was at a position where, I was having pictures of me put around, and I'm like, yo, Johnny Nunez, why did you sell that picture what'd you get, $20? He's like, I want to take it down. I can't get it back. So you sold my likeness to whatever for $20? Like, that's not really it. And I felt like this was an opportunity to just, do the right thing and have a space for it. So when I showed it to J. Cole, he was basically like, yo, I like it. It's almost like the Real Supreme. Like, you can actually create stuff, because on top of doing these one-of-one pieces of art, we also, make prints, which are shirts, limited edition, 100 of them, that are a couple $100 a piece. But by us doing this, he was like, yo, I really like it, but what's your name? And then Supercat, because Jamaicans do double talk, he didn't want to say, don't put me in a gallery. He turned around and said, don't put me in a museum. And that's how I got the name. You know what I'm saying? It was about museum. But the whole idea of the museum, for me, is about us making sure that we're utilizing my relationships, because I'm going to do art for a while, but I know I'm going to go do something else. But just for me, this whole ecosystem is about everything that we do. It's artist approval. I can't, if you take a picture with your wives, can you just post it? Nah, hold on. Let me see it. Wait a minute. They're going to check it, and they always, any artist is going to have a perspective where they want to make sure that their image looks right. So that's number one. Number two, I want to make sure that they are the controlling party, not whoever does something of them. And then when it really gets down to it, besides getting financially raised, I also got to ask them, somebody wants to buy it, I got to call up, Mandy and Rick and be like, are you cool with X buying your picture? Because that's the way I would feel. You know what I'm saying? So
you got to get approval before it goes out.
That's the way it's going down. So, Faith Evans bought Marvin Gaye joint. I call Marvin Gaye to say, like, Faith Evans was to buy it this year. You know what I'm saying? I'm making sure that goes down. Because I'm dealing with it the way, because that's the way I would want to be treated. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be auction block. If somebody got a picture of me and it's like, oh, that's really dope, but there's sometimes people that's just like, I got money. Money doesn't necessarily mean that you have value and respect to be able to have someone else's stuff. And just like if I have a track, just because you got money don't mean I'm going to give it to you.
So how does it work for a fan, that doesn't have a name, like, Nick the camera guy, you know what I mean?
The camera guy might still be approved by whoever to do it. It's not just about being famous. I think it's really about just understanding who's having it and just having some type of approval process, just as anything else. If it's your property, if you own a house, does anybody get to buy your house? You get to decide who you want to sell it to. And looking at your intellectual property as property just as well as everything else is really where I'm at now, because I had to look at my own career, and part of me getting to 50 and looking back was like, wait a minute, how much is before people were selling catalogs, how much is my catalog worth? I put 36 years in. That's some type of pension or something. Like, where am I at? Rather than feeling like I got to get on the next project, I got to get to the next one. A lot of times people operate from a place of feeling like they don't have any value. And at the end of the day, your value is also you being able to find the people who value who you are, what you do, where it is, and everything else. So for me, it was a self-discovery process that also turned into, wait a minute, if I know this and I'm able to be in my house and not have to feel like I got to run up and down and chase, the things in my elder years, then also if I share this information with the rest of my peers and other people, the same way that both of you have a shoebox of photos from your long careers that you might have a picture of somebody that they never seen before. You know what I'm saying? Just like when you go through family, I was discovering pictures of me that I never seen before. I found a picture of me at my mom's wedding looking up at her, and it just blew my mind, but somebody else caught that. So just the whole idea that if those things can now be shared with you, then where does it go? And then even bigger than that, how does it go for your living estate and your children later on? Like, why would somebody be able to sell a picture of you on Murdoch in Springfield, and then your kids don't get nothing from it? Right. Why should they be able to sell that and have that right to it? Wow, because I was there, my grandfather gave it to me, and it's like, nah, that's not the righteous way to move. So for me, that's really what this is all about, being able to help people realize it. And then also photos that you have with artists. Nas might need a photo of him by the Coliseum.
Especially old ones that he probably forgot he even took.
All the time. So what happened was I actually was going through my own photos, and then I have photos that I took in the studio of Amy, or I have photos I took of Nas, a lot of them. And then he's looking through like, whoa, I forgot my daughter was there. Wait, my pops was there? Like, he forgot because he never seen me being in the captain's chair, just like Nick is taking pictures of what's the room. He got a whole lot of images of different things that you might need at some point, and now we're able to bring value to it. That's where my goal is, bringing value to everyone and being able to also speak to a lot of artists that might even be in their 50s and 60s that are working day jobs that aren't being appreciated. They feel like, oh, that was my 20s and I did something back then, but we as fans still want to be able to connect with them. And that's really, the purpose of it, kind of connecting icons with up-and-coming artists and painters, and also just having brand new people that I think are dope. There's a picture. I have a pop-up here in New York right now, which we're actually extending to September 30th. That is museum here because I needed to show, once again, everybody that I'm working on the art stuff and what we're doing. But there's a picture in the window that this cat, Justin Waddington, had done a Nas. And I saw it on the gram. I was like, that's dope. So I sent it to Nas. He's like, yo, I like that. I normally like pictures of me, but he got the old me with the cigar. He got the young, older me with the twist. He's like, I kind of like that. So I contacted him, and now they have a collaboration where it's business together, where he's cool with Nas getting 40%. And at the same time, now they're selling merchandise. Now that works together. And that, to me, is just, what I felt like I could bring to the table, because most artists, even for photographers that took pictures of artists in the 90s, they don't have a contact to get to them. They don't know how to speak to them. And then, you get the 5 selects, but what about the other 100? You know what I'm saying? So to me, it was just, how can I really make that work? And then within this ecosystem, doing the same thing, making it digitally available so we can now utilize the blockchain, not for crypto, but for forever authentication of this is who's supposed to get paid off of this. You know what I'm saying? This is how it should go.
Who's the most requested artist?
Well, what's crazy? The first things first, when people walk into the space, either, I have a 3,000 square foot gallery in Wynwood in Miami, and then the pop-up here, it's so much, they have sensory overload. So they're sitting there going, oh gosh, this Bob Marley, or Marvin Gaye, but then they'll turn around and be like, yo, I really like the Super Cat. Like, I never thought I would see Super Cat on the wall. I never thought I would see, Brumman, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had Brumman from Martin come out and host my season 2 opening in Miami. But people like, I don't even know his name. But, Martin fans is heavy, and they know, from the 4th floor.
Bro, man, from 4th floor.
From 5th floor.
Fifth floor.
You know what I'm saying? But they open off it, but they don't even know his name. But to me, he's so much a part of culture. He should be like, Debo. You know what I'm saying? How many people name their dog Debo after Friday? You know what I'm saying? Like, where that actually goes. So to me, it's just about being able to help and, bridge that gap. So I look at it like, this is my continued give back, not just I got to make a beat for you. This is what the artist portion of it
Got
is.
you.
And when we do concerts, I've done Big Daddy Kane on June 10th with Large Professor.
This is very fresh, by the way.
That's
Exactly.
hard.
So-
Very fresh.
So that's a gift for you. But that's the Big Daddy Kane picture taken by Ernie Panicoli. And when I showed Kane some pictures that Ernie took of him, he was like, that's my favorite picture of me. So then I went to Ernie's house, and he has all these historic pictures. And he's like, oh, I love what you're doing. Check this out. So that's like, one of it. And then we have the art box the same size as this with that picture on it. You know what I'm saying? But, the whole idea for me was them being able to collaborate and me being able to put it together. So Kane shows up. He does a concert. We do an unveiling. How you get into our concerts to being VIP is by being at the unveiling and then also purchasing something. Not I bought a bottle of liquor. You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
Kind of really being a fan of the art, kind of being into it. We're actually doing Slick Rick on Halloween special on 10/28, where we're going to have Slick Rick come to Miami, be a part of it, do a concert, be in that space. We did Rakim on 4/22 with Grand Poobah. You know what I'm saying? And that was dope. We got the Poobah line coming soon, which if anybody knows hip hop history, they're gonna know that Poobah meant fly wear in the first place. So a Poobah shirt to somebody from that era is gonna be more valuable than a lot of people because it's there. And Poobah actually has been requested by a few people. Actually, Angie Martinez said, when you get the Poobah art, that's mine already before you make it. You know what I'm saying? But in general, it's about me really finding ways to help people, help artists, and really putting pieces together, which has been part of my production process anyway. I always just paid it forward.
We had Fab Five Freddy up here, and he came up in the art scene here in New York, and he was great friends with Basquiat, and then they connected with Warhol, and it made me ask him the question: is that the missing link between hip hop? Like is art and hip hop supposed to be connected in that way? Like, what's art's impact on the culture?
I mean, so first of all, Fab is also with this Fab Five Freddy piece, which is actually on Orchard Street right now in Delancey. And then Fab is also on the board of our team, and he's also my cousin. And,
Oh wow!
So the reality is that for me, understanding that the visual art, it was always, some portions graffiti was more popular than music at some points with hip hop. To me, that's just always part of it. It's a culture. So the art goes with the music, goes with the style of dress, goes with everything else. How you're styling yourself, how you're working your avatar. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's a missing portion from the aspect of, even museum to me. It's like the pillars of the community. I'm putting you on the wall. Why? Because I think Pooh, Just Ice, and Shinehead, and these people belong on the wall just the same way that you have your wall in here with the icons of what you feel should be there. We're not waiting for someone else's approval. And that's what I feel like a lot of things are done because, normally a museum is stolen artifacts of someone that doesn't even know it. Didn't OJ catch his second case? I mean, the politics, but he was trying to get his Heisman Trophy.
He get his Heisman back.
So, the other day I had to tell my dude, like, yo, hold on, somebody stole your phone. Yeah, I'm tracking them. I'm going on 95. I see them with my phone. Easy. That's not a case we want. I know it's your phone and it's wrong, but like we don't really want to do that right now. And that's just, to me, the process of it. Like if we can turn around and say that the art is actually bringing the visuality back to it. And then also you're going to collect what you love. That's one of the themes of the museum. And being able to say, I love what's there. It's either you feel it or you don't. And that's really about it. Like finding 100 people that really add value to what it's going to be. And, my goal is to raise everybody's IP because that's not something that is always done, like I said, especially for our legacy artists. And at the same time, I'm helping artists across the board.
And do you have smaller pieces as well, or is it just the big size?
We have smaller than this. This one is probably second biggest, and then there's a couple that's bigger than this. And then we have like some that are 30 by 48. And there's some other smaller pieces. And then there's some pieces that are also just other artists I met online that are also in the same space. I look at our space like the Coliseum. You walk in there and you're going to see everything you could possibly need. So the dopeness is, if you had a piece of art, you just like, yo, this artist is dope, and they do these doodles, I might take that because I think it's dope and curate it right next to Slick Rick. Slick Rick is next to Marvin Gaye, next to Celia Cruz. Celia Cruz is not only with Hector Lavoe, she next to Bob Marley. And then our buildings and everything is wrapped like that. So to me, all levels of it make sense. And then for the younger artists that are just coming up with something that's dope, them getting the opportunity to now get that light is really where it's at. Shining the light back to creativity in general.
I think what you said is so true, man. Because I feel like the culture feels very disposable now because we're not treating it like art. So when you see the culture presented as actual art and as an art piece, it makes you value it all more.
Exactly. And that's kind of like where I'd done pop-ups during Art Basel in Miami in 2018 and 2019. And what was happening was I lived in Miami 20-something years, but when I would walk around, I would see one Michael Jackson, one Jimi Hendrix, one Prince. But then I was like, I didn't feel at home. So then what I started doing was just bringing my home collection where I got Coming to America or a Marley piece or a Michael Jackson piece that I commissioned and different things. And then I was just selling Do It For The Culture merch, just saying, cool, let's do different pieces. But for me, just being able to have the opportunity, like I say, to also cut a check, to Rakim, cut a check to Kane, cut a check to different photographers and back to our heroes. That's really, it's part of the give back. You know what I'm saying? That's not just a 50 years thing. That's how it should be in general. And, hoping to change the standard.
How long does it take you to put a piece together?
One like this takes about a week, I would say, altogether, between, depending on if I'm using a photograph and I'm incorporating that, or if I'm actually just drawing something, if I'm stenciling into it. Probably a few days for what, Tatiana Crooks, my creative director, actually did to draw Rick, but then actually it's spray paint in the back. So me doing the spray paint goes down quickly, a couple layers of epoxy, 3-4 days, depending on what the audio system and the lighting system is,
Can we hear it?
Sure. And, also each system, I make sure that it's tuned to the artist so that when it's playing.
And gentlemen and lowlifes, it is with outstanding pleasure that we are here to present tonight.
It's clear.
Slick Rick
Sound good as hell.
Maruna and MC Ricky D doing their smash hit Mona Lisa. Like the picture. Anyway, I'd like to take this time out to bow before His Divine Majesty. Can I kiss your hand? Your Highness.
Sounds so damn good. That sounds so damn good, huh?
Gotta be.
Is that the greatest bass line of all time?
Huh?
Is that the greatest bass line of all time?
One of those days, much to do. I was chilling downtown with my old school crew. I went into a store to buy a slice of pizza.
And every system is like literally us building one by one. This is me using my Thomas Edison high school soldering class, my electronics, and really putting it in. And me and my engineer, Ryan Evans, really designed each one. So every one of them, I'm using a different sonic level, which other people put speakers and stuff, but they didn't have no type of sound.
When you said you customized it to them to Slick Rick's music, what do you mean?
How the wood actually reacts to the speaker. A speaker doesn't do anything on its own. It's a speaker box. The components I use, because I put the tweeters at the top, it now makes the highs come out differently, which makes Slick Rick's voice cut through. Slick Rick has a different timbre of voice to another artist. And then also, his music also got a little bit of shakers and up, whereas in D'Angelo's music will sound different on it.
Gotcha.
D'Angelo's piece that we have in the space is the bass is heavy, his voice cuts through a different way. Marvin Gaye has a different type of music to it. So I just wanted to make sure that, the Cellular Cruise piece, when you hear that, I'd love for you to come by and check out the space, because each one really moves along into another energy. But, by the crossovers, the box, just all the things that you do to tune a speaker. Not every set of speakers sound the same, just like every set of headphones don't sound the same.
And the only pictures you got are pictures that people you've done business with, deals with? So like,
yeah, everything that you see is all totally licensed, and they're totally in it. They have to have their approval. The people that I haven't got approval from yet is in the tuck until they come through and see, till LL come see the LL piece, and Claudine and LL get on it. So Londell and Primary Wave and Prince's siblings see the Prince piece, and that's in the tuck. Because it's always about approval to me. It's like how I want to be treated. Like I'm not doing anything for who I am that's going to be outside the pocket. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then for every piece of things that we come up with, even down to, Sadella Marley touched the material on the Bob Marley hoodie. It was like, nah, not that one, this one. I want them to approve the colors. Like, I sent the Marvin Gaye estate, the Marvin Gaye bags were dropping now. And I made sure that they touched it, and that Nona and, Lloyd and Frankie and Marvin, like, I'll need their approval for say, okay, right, I'm with this. This is how we want to do it. And that's just really what it is. I look at someone's name and likeness like they're publishing. It should always be something that's approved. And, just for instance, even if you had a photo shoot or a press conference, 30 people take a picture. They all say, I own the picture. It's my face. Where you going? How far are you going with that? What are you going to do with it? It's fine art. You're a popular person. That's cool, but don't violate. You know what I'm saying? And then, I don't also want to feel like cattle. Like, I bought this picture of you. I don't want to end up like in a Wu-Tang album type of situation where it's just a guy because he got money. He feels like he can purchase it. It's not just about money. And, that's just a life lesson that's hit me harder than anything else this last couple of years, because, I've lost so many people this year in particular. But just over the last few years, it's like the things that have really had value, you can't buy with money.
That's right.
Question, so is this through Bluetooth or?
Bluetooth. It's a Bluetooth speaker, so I can play anything.
Oh, right, that's what I was going to say. Is it only Slick Rick music?
No.
And then the lights go to the beat?
Yes, the lights follow the music. So
I'm watching. I'm like, yo, the lights are hitting right on time.
So you can listen to your Stevie Wonder on it. You can play anything.
What lights you talking about?
In the back, there's lights. If you look at the reflection, there's lights in the back. You don't see them?
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever you play on it kicks in. It's meant to be like
that's
the
crazy.
art piece that's in your house, but it's also your audio system.
Mood music. I love it.
It does everything at the same time.
I love it. Now tell them where this is now. The New York location.
New York location is at 98 Orchard Street, just below Delancey at Legacy NYC, owned by Umi and M1 of Dead Prez. And in Miami, we're in Wynwood, 2032 Northwest 2nd Avenue. That's our flagship space. You'll see the murals that totally wrap the building. Slick Rick, Bob Marley, Marvin Gaye, Cellular Cruise, Nas, D-Nice, Betty Wright, Amy Winehouse, Supercat.
In New York until September 30th, right?
September 30th.
Yep, New York is until September 30th for now. And then we might move around the country a little bit since we're on the 95, see where else we can touch. Because I just want people to see it in person. I can show you online, but it's nothing like standing in front of it.
That's
you get a totally other experience. And then also, museum, museum.com is the site. We're doing the concerts and everything else is there.
Go ahead, PR. Do your job, PQ.
There we go. All right, so yeah. So right now we're at 98 Orchard Street until September 30th, doing a pop-up museum at Legacy NYC, owned by Dead Prez, Umi, and One Stick. There until September 30th, definitely with 20 pieces. Every Thursday we do a little champagne toast turn up, so we're definitely in the city with all the exclusive merch and 20 plus pieces of art. We flagship spaces in Miami, open Fridays and Saturdays, noon to midnight, or 2032 Northwest 2nd Avenue in the heart of Wynwood, right across from the old House of Mac. We're consistently doing that. We got Slick Rick in Miami 1028 Halloween special. Constantly, bringing other artists. We've done Kane and Rakim. Slick Rick is my favorite rapper. It's the way that it needs to go next. We're kind of making that happen. And just in general, follow us online, musc.zeum, as on the gram, Facebook, etc. Follow me, Salam Remy, SALAAM.
Do y'all give updates on? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, constantly giving updates on what we're working on, the new pieces dropping. And like I said, this is the tip of the iceberg. I brought the Rick out because I knew it stood out, but when you really see everything else that's going on, it's cold as ice.
Yeah,
I need a
Fat
Mary
Joe said
J.
he wants that
Blige.
one. So if you're
Rick
looking
getting that. We need a Mary J., Erykah Badu, and a Jill Scott.
All right. Well, we appreciate you for joining us, brother. And you're leaving that one here, right?
No, that's Joe.
I'm just messing with you. That's Joe.
Fat Joe, exactly.
That's Salam Remy. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.